Hello and welcome. So, you're looking to get real, tangible value from AI, but maybe you don't want to get totally lost in all the technical jargon. Well, you've come to the right place. Today is all about moving from theory to action. This is not some abstract university lecture. My goal is that by the end of this, you'll have a practical framework you can literally start using today. All right, let's dive in. I absolutely love this quote because it just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly frames what we're trying to do here. Getting started with AI is not about becoming a coder or a data scientist overnight. Nope. It's about being a great driver. It's about knowing your business, knowing your destination, and figuring out the best route to get there. This is a guide for the drivers, the strategists, the leaders, the people who actually make things happen. So let's be super clear about our goal today. We are moving from the big question of what is AI to the much more important question, what can I do with AI? This week, we're going to focus on specific, repeatable frameworks that take all the guesswork out of getting started and put you firmly in the driver's seat. Look, if you want to build anything that's going to last, you need a strong foundation. It's no different with AI. And that foundation, it really rests on three core pillars. Getting these right is what separates the projects that succeed from the ones that, well, just never get off the ground. So let's break them down one by one. First up, strategy and planning. This is everything. This is where you decide your destination before you even start the car. Before you even think about tools or cool technology, you have to ask yourself two crucial questions. What problem are we actually trying to solve, and what does success look like when we get there? Having a clear, actionable roadmap that lines up with your business goals isn't just nice to have, it's completely non-negotiable. Okay, next up is implementation and execution. This is where the rubber really meets the road. Your brilliant strategy, it's just a nice idea on a slide until you actually execute it. This pillar is all about the disciplined, roll-up-your-sleeves work of choosing the right tools, getting your teams on the same page, and managing the project to make sure you're delivering real, high-quality results. And that brings us to our third pillar, measurement and optimization. Think about it. How do you know if you've actually arrived at your destination? You have to measure. By setting up clear metrics right from the start, you can track your progress, make decisions based on data instead of guesswork, and constantly improve. And this isn't just about crunching numbers. Reporting on these metrics openly is how you build trust and confidence with everyone involved, proving the value of what you're doing. All right, so we've got our three pillars for a solid foundation. Now, let's see how we can build on that with a practical playbook. These are the tried and true best practices that successful organizations use time and time again to get this stuff right. You'll notice there are four key habits of highly successful teams. First, they always start with strategy. This keeps them from wasting effort on the latest shiny object. Second, they are relentless about value. Every single initiative has a clear, measurable outcome. Third, they build capability. They invest in their people, giving them the right training and the right processes. And finally, they stay flexible. They know that a plan is just a guide, not a straitjacket, and they're always ready to adapt based on what the data is telling them. Now, knowing the right path to take is great, but it's just as important to know where the potholes are. So let's quickly cover the most common challenges you're likely to face. That way, you can see them coming and steer right around them. I can almost guarantee you'll run into some of these. Misaligned expectations? You solve that with clear, constant communication. Resource constraints, like not enough budget or people? That's where you prioritize ruthlessly, based on the value you defined earlier. Resistance to change? The best way to beat that is to get people involved early and show them how it benefits them. And difficulty with measurement? Well, that's exactly why you define your success metrics before you even start. Okay, this might be my favorite part. We've talked strategy, we've talked pillars, we've talked pitfalls. Now let's make it incredibly real with a simple 5-step plan you can use to launch your very first AI pilot project. Think of this as your recipe for success. All right, this is a step-by-step process, and trust me, the order is crucial. It all starts with step 1, define your scope. And I mean, be incredibly specific. Don't just say, we want to make things faster. No. Say, we will reduce manual invoice data entry time by 50% within the next 3 months. See the difference? Then, step 2, you audit the current process. Map out that exact invoice workflow from start to finish. Find the bottlenecks. Where does it get stuck? Where do the errors happen? These are your targets. Now you're ready for step 3. Start a focused pilot. Please, don't try to boil the ocean.
Pick one small part of that process, maybe with one type of invoice, and just prove the concept. Then comes the most important part, step 4, measure and compare. Run your new AI-assisted process right alongside the old manual one. Let the data, not opinions, tell the story. Did you actually hit that 50% reduction goal? And finally, step 5 is to iterate and scale. Take what you learned, make it better, and only after you've proven the value, then you can expand to other departments. This is how you build real momentum.
Okay, time for a quick action check. Right now, I want you to just pause and think for a second. Based on that 5-step plan we just walked through, what is one specific, measurable step you could take this week? Maybe it's just identifying a process to audit, or maybe it's writing down a specific goal for a pilot project. Whatever it is, actually write it down. Seriously. Research shows that simple act makes you dramatically more likely to actually do it. We have covered a lot of ground, so let's bring it all back together and just summarize the absolute key takeaways, the things you really need to remember to make sure your AI journey is a successful one. If you remember nothing else from our time together, please remember this. First, your data is everything. Clean, prepared data is the fuel for any successful AI, period. Second, strategy and execution are your roadmap and your steering wheel. You have to know where you're going and have the discipline to drive there. Third, always define your metrics first, so you actually know what success looks like. Fourth, invest in your people. This is about building up your team's capability with good training and solid processes. And finally, you have to see this whole thing as a cycle of learning and adapting. Perfection isn't the goal here, progress is. And so we come full circle, right back to where we started. You don't need to know how the engine works, but you do need to know where you're going. We've just got over the map, the best practices, and the step-by-step driving directions. So the only question left is, now that you have the map, where will you choose to go first?